Wendy's ASMR. That's honestly a good sound, though.
Yeah, I like.
Thunder. Logan's like,
No.
listen, we both gave you an opportunity to climb up on the couch. No.
Multiple times.
Now there's Steph, and you cannot. So sorry. You made your choice.
You did this to yourself.
So anyway.
Podcast.
We got a new mixer. So bear with
Hopefully.
us if everything doesn't sound perfect. I'm playing with it still.
Yeah. And it's raining, so all the dogs are freaking out. Well,
Thunder bad.
Bella and Logan are. Beep is eating a ball.
Could not care less.
We've got a lovely, looking thunderstorm off in the distance. I don't know if that just passed us or what, but it's very dark over there.
We'll get past us. It seemed like it was a little darker earlier. We're in a different room today because, I don't know, felt like it.
That's nice. I think we woke up and pretty much immediately got on TikTok.
Yeah, that's been the day so far.
Yeah.
Can we just take a moment to give a shout out to Beep for choosing a quiet toy today
Yeah.
to chew on?
That was pretty nice.
He normally
Like
doesn't even care about that ball.
Yeah, it's a rope ball. So, we managed to fucking set the ocean on fire. So
Great.
that's fun.
I have not seen anything about that. What are you talking about?
Really? Oh, I have to find a...
I've literally just been on
photo
TikTok
of
today.
So there was an ocean fire. A gas leak caused a fire in the Gulf of Mexico. And the video of it literally looks like something from Godzilla.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Which is cool, but I'm like, can we fucking stop destroying the Earth?
Can we
for
fucking
3
not?
seconds. Yeah, this is...
Okay, that does look like it's from Godzilla.
Right,
Literally
yeah.
looks like fucking burning Godzilla about to rise out of the ocean.
Yeah, it literally does. There was one video, it just looked so cinematic. Yeah, this is it. It looks cool, but at the same time, I'm like, can we not?
When you see it, you're like, dude, that's fucking sick. And then you realize it's happening in the real world, and you're like, never mind.
Yeah. You're like, actually, no thanks. So that...
For our listeners who can't see that, because I'm not going to put it in the video, probably.
No,
It's
just...
literally just looks like fucking...
Somebody opened the portal to hell in the middle of the ocean. That's what it looks like.
If you imagine, the opening of a volcano is, 7 feet underwater, and it's exploding, that's what it looks like to me.
It's ridiculously wild that this shit is happening. And, it causes me to go on a whole tirade of, stop, please. I fucking live here.
Can we fucking not?
Right. Meanwhile, billionaires are like, well, we have already fucked up this planet, so let's leave. Let's go to space.
Here's the problem with the whole going to space thing, because, there's, the petition or whatever to not allow Jeff Bezos back into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But apparently he's taking The Rock with him.
No!
So...
I mean...
It's like he's bringing insurance.
Yeah.
He's...
Well,
Okay.
we can let The Rock back in and just yeet Jeff Bezos again.
How do we just only let one of them back in? They're in the same craft.
No, that's what I said. I said we could let The Rock back in and then yeet Jeff Bezos again. Because he's coming with him. But then we can just be like, okay, bye.
You gotta go back.
You get deported. Just
gets
space.
deported from Earth. I think we just need to send all of them, though. Like,
Yeah.
just Jeff Bezos isn't good enough.
No, it's not. Elon Musk can fucking leave, too.
Yeah. Just all of the 1%. Just off.
It's off. Ghost.
Go float around in space. Away from here. Where you can't do anything anymore.
Yeah. When it could be.
Sleepy peepee.
He's sleepy.
What? Logan's just staring at me.
Help.
He always does this. He's, like most dogs, many dogs, afraid of thunder, fireworks, etc. Whenever he's scared, he doesn't go to Cade. He comes to me.
Yeah.
And then I just get, irritable because he's, in the way.
But I get offended because he doesn't come to me.
Right? I'm like, you're not my dog, go.
But he goes to her and she's mean to him. And I'm sitting here like, I can't.
You're just,
protect
crying
you.
internally because he's just,
He
coming
doesn't
to
love
me.
me.
You're just like, come here, let me comfort you. And he's like, piss off.
Right.
I want to go hang out with this mean lady.
I want to go
Who
be in
won't
her
let
way.
me in her room or her bed. And gets too hot when I cuddle up with her.
Logan.
That's what, most of the time
he's so much turmoil.
he tries to come into my room and then there's not enough space. Because, last night, there were thunderworks and I was in my room working on my diamond painting.
There were what?
Did I say thunderworks? I just realized I was like, yeah, thunderworks.
Yeah. There were fireworks.
And I was working on a diamond painting, so I was just taking up all of the floor space, basically, on a very precarious table. And Logan, who's shaped like a sofa, just comes in and is just, touching everything with his giant body.
He's just shaped like a semi-trailer. He's a brick house.
That's his code name.
Brick house.
So I'm like, you can't be in here because you're gonna knock everything over. You're gonna spill these fucking little diamond beads everywhere. It's gonna be a whole situation. I've already spilled enough of them with my own clumsiness. Thank you very much. So I just go into Cade's room and I'm like, your dog needs coddling. Shove him.
I had my headphones on, so of course I can't hear anything. And she just comes and shoves my dog at me, and I'm like, what's wrong? Of course he doesn't come to me. He didn't go by me at all.
Or he likes to get in the tub, but he wants you to be in there with him.
Yeah.
So he'll beg you to open the bathroom door.
Yeah.
And then you go in and stand there, and he'll get in, but then he just stares at you, and as soon as you walk away, he's like, wait.
Go back.
Don't leave me. You have to sit in this uncomfortable room for the next
hour and a half.
Yeah, until I feel better.
So I just ended up shutting my door, and he just fell asleep. So I was like, okay, that works then.
I feel like he's less inclined to get in the tub ever since he got stuck in there, though.
Yeah.
We have the mat that we put in there, but he doesn't just go in there.
Yeah.
Which is still funny to me. I feel bad, but it was so funny.
Help. I'm stuck in the tub.
I think I talked about that on here, didn't I? At some point?
I don't know. Maybe.
Recap, I went into the bathroom one time. You guys weren't home for some
You
reason.
only went into the bathroom once?
Once.
Only
Only once.
He hung.
I definitely don't spend, a ridiculous percent of my time in the bathroom.
You really do. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, 1/3 of your life is at least in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's, like, frustrating.
But you do it on purpose sometimes with the soup.
Well, yeah. Like, in the tub. But anyway, you guys weren't home for some reason. And I'd been in my room for a while. And I just, like, walked out and walked past the bathroom, and Logan's just, like, staring at me ominously from the tub. And I was like, okay. Went back in my room, and then, like, an hour later, it came back out and, like, to go to the bathroom, and he's still in there. And I was like, what are you doing? There are no sounds happening. And I have to poop. So if you're going to be in here, like, well, that's your choice. But he wouldn't get out. And then he, like, I went in there and was pooping, and then he was being, like, melodramatic about it.
What is that?
He's like, stop roasting me on your podcast. But then I go to leave, and he's just, and I was like, what? And I turn around, and he's just like, he couldn't get a grip on the tub, so he kept trying to stand up and then just sliding back down.
Oh.
It just, and then I laughed at him and took a video and laughed some more, and then I helped him out. And then he was being a wiener about it, like I had to climb in the tub to lift him out, but he's like, no!
You're such an asshole.
Oh, is your door closed?
We'll be back.
We can't see the beep.
Watch out. Feral. Yeah, that'll do it.
He fucking brought a very dead bird.
Yeah,
in
like
here.
it had been dead for a while.
And the feet were sticking out of his mouth, and I thought it was a stick, so I just grabbed it and pulled it out, and then was like, oh yes, this is a wad of stick mud, whatever, and then looked closer and was like,
Yeah, no.
don't like that.
Don't like that one
Just
bit.
like having the impulse and having to resist the impulse to just go, and like throw it.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is for me to resist my impulses?
I really do. I do know how hard it is. So I appreciate you not flinging it at me. Because that's how you were faced.
Anyway,
this podcast
this sure is exciting, isn't it?
It has already been chaotic and boring at the same time, and I don't know how we manage it, but we really nail it in there, don't we?
We sure do. Also, while you were outside chasing beef, your dad came into the living room, and I was just sitting here, like, shaking ice into the microphone, and he's just, like, looking at me with my cat ear headphones and all of this shit, just shaking ice into the microphone, and he's just like...
Alrighty then.
Yeah, why you always gotta text me during podcasts?
It's not like we're doing something interesting.
I just always forget to turn my sound off when it's on, and then, of course, I get messages.
Yeah. And okay, so back to the fucking pipeline rupture in the Gulf of Mexico.
I hope you guys all appreciate the dog chewing sounds in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
More ASMR. Actually,
we're getting deep ASMR.
Distracted. Eat your snack.
Jingling.
Does that sound good?
That's fucking wet. I don't like that.
Anyway.
So, okay, along the same lines of that we're destroying the world, Vancouver and like Washington State has just been like incredibly hot recently.
Just
Like record high temperatures, wildfires, the whole 9 yards. It's just been absolutely horrible. Climate change.
well, it's like a couple weeks ago we were talking about this when it was just hot as balls here, and it's been pretty toasty, though it's cooled down a little bit. We've been getting more rain the last couple days.
Yeah.
But like a couple weeks ago, where it was hotter here than it was in Texas at the time,
Yeah.
like,
That's not supposed to be like that.
well, and I saw something that climate scientists predict that the U.S. is on track to become the hottest place on Earth.
Yeah, I'm really not here for that.
Yeah. We're gonna have to, like, let's move to Alaska.
Yeah.
If it's hot as balls here, then it theoretically will be, like, average there.
Right. Well, maybe we should just move out of the U.S.
I mean, I'm down.
We've talked about this multiple times. We should go to the
Beetle.
Netherlands.
Just move the whole table.
Yeah, it's fine.
He keeps, like, scooting backwards.
Because Bella keeps harassing him.
Bella, go get yours. She's, like, pouting because she doesn't have one, but she does. It's just on the other side of the room where she left it because she wants someone else's. Bella, go get yours or quit being rude.
She keeps, like, licking the carpet when she makes Beat move.
I want that one.
I want it.
No tendon. I want trachea. Where does he get the good one?
Because it takes you 3 seconds to to get through it.
Yeah, you can't have those ones anymore because you fucking inhale them. She's like eyeing her one.
Good.
Weak.
Yeah, it did feel better though.
That's good. Anyway.
This has been
I should
about
have
like
brought that
3
over.
minutes of content out of 28
Right?
minutes for recording. We're really good at this.
Remember when we used to, like, pick topics before we started recording?
Yeah. My brain is just too fried anymore.
Right? Now we sit down and we're like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know.
So,
Hits record.
right?
What are your unpopular video game opinions?
I like the sexy armor.
Valid?
I like the sexy armor. If you're a sexy lady wearing sexy armor, like, sure, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. I just think there needs to also be sexy man armor.
Exactly. That's
Like,
the solution.
If we're gonna have sexy armor, then even it out.
Yeah.
I want to
Also,
see some
I
man
don't want
titties
it to
too.
be the only option, but
Yeah.
like I still like it.
Yeah.
If you hoeing out, that's fine. Like, but also have
Also,
more,
give me some
like,
reasonable armor.
Yeah, some more reasonable armor.
He's just gonna take everyone's snack.
No one's snack is safe. What about you?
The first one that I thought of is Ocarina of Time is not as good as everyone says it is.
Oh.
Like,
It's
I
definitely got
fucking
the
love that game.
nostalgia
I love it,
factor.
and I've replayed it a billion times, and I will continue to replay it. But, like, there are other better Zelda games.
Yeah, it's not the end all be all
Yeah.
of Zelda games. Sure, it's very nostalgic, and it definitely has that for me, but it's not my favorite Zelda game.
Yeah, and it, like, I understand also that it was a really big deal at the time. Like, that was the first
Like
3D
one.
Zelda game, and it, like, pioneered 3D adventure games, kind of. But, like, I mean, and it still has a really good story, and the gameplay is fun, but there are better ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything in the franchise is compared to that one, and it's
Yeah.
like...
That's fair. I feel like things are
Like,
always
I
so
can
compared
accept
to the
that...
original.
Yeah. Well, and it's like... Not even the original.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was the original, like, 3D Zelda.
My other unpopular opinion, which I think we've talked about on here before, is that I prefer linear games to open world games.
Yeah. Which is fair. I like both of them for
Like,
different reasons.
I'm here for both, but I just can I can, like, never beat an open world game.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. There's, like, too much going on, and I feel like there's a lot of... It feels like I mostly am playing games for the story.
Yeah.
And I feel like when it's such a big open world game, they can kind of dismiss the story for the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to add a billion side quests, so I don't have as much attention to give to, like, providing a really good, well-written story.
Yeah. I like both of them because some I just want to do the story, some I just want to, fuck off and do my own thing, but it's important that one doesn't overshadow the other
Yeah.
because that's just like everything has to be open world, but it really doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't understand why open world has to be, like, the standard.
Yeah.
That's like people essentially knock points off of games for being, like, quote unquote too linear, and I'm like, what the fuck do you mean?
It's a story,
Yeah.
my dude. What do you
Like,
What?
maybe I want it to be that way.
Yeah.
And there's, like, things that you can do with a linear game that you can't do with an open world game, and vice versa. And they both have their, like, pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like being able to... Hi, Logan. Like, in a linear game, when you go through and you, like, I enjoy unlocking different areas as you go through the game, you know what I mean? You, like, come across an area, and you're like, how the fuck do I get over there? Oh, well, I'll have to come back to it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the thing, and you're like, oh, now I can go back to that spot and get that thing.
See, I don't remember that. So I'm just like, oh, anyway, it's gone forever.
Fair.
You know?
But I think that's just, like, that to me is a fun mechanic of, like, unlocking. It feels like I'm accomplishing
Now
something.
Logan's got the trick, yeah.
Tradesies. But, like, it feels like I'm actually accomplishing something
Yeah.
while I'm going through and, like, opening up new areas and stuff. Like, oh, I finished a thing and now I get a reward.
Yeah. That's fair too.
Versus kind of getting everything you need at the beginning and then just, like, fucking off. Which is also fun, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. It feels like it provides progression for me.
Yeah.
Instead of just, like, there you go.
Good luck.
Like, it's also fun just to go dig around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm here for that. I still like open world games. I just don't want that to be the standard, and I feel it's very frustrating for me when it's like, oh, too many games are too linear. Nothing is allowed to be linear ever. And I'm like, I will never be able to beat a game ever again if nothing is linear.
Yeah. I want it to be like, if open world suits the game, then that's what I want.
Yeah.
if linear story driven, like, or if linear story is what suits the game, that's also what I want.
Yeah.
Like, it just depends on what story that you are telling, what game you want. Like, it needs to have variety.
Yeah.
And, no formula is correct for every game. You know?
Makes me think of, I was in a comments thread on Reddit the other day, and somebody had posted just like a like picture of all of the logos for all the different Zelda games, and it was like, which remake would you most look forward to? And someone in the comments had, conversation started, whatever, and someone in the comments had said that they were sad that A Link to the Link's Awakening, the remake, had the style that it did, and they were like, I really wish they would have done like a more Breath of the Wild style. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, because it's like you were saying, you gotta do things, like, you gotta work the game around the story and make the game flow in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everything, the style has to fit with the story, and, like, the progression has to work with the story. And I'm like, I don't feel like, with Link's Awakening, I don't think they could have chosen a better style for that game than they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having everything look like toys in a child's dream, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, if everything looked like Breath of the Wild, then it wouldn't have fit the concept of the game.
Yeah, and
it being like a weird dreamscape for a child. Like,
yeah, I just, like, I don't feel like the gameplay would be right, you know? If everything's Breath of the Wild style, it's gonna be fucking boring.
Right?
I want different styles. I want different playthrough aspects. I want all of it. Like, we don't have... It's not exclusive. Like, you don't have to choose.
Right? Everything doesn't have to be the same. And we were talking about this a little bit during E3 when we were watching trailers. I am bored with the Uncanny Valley style that games are going with. I really like it.
Yeah.
But I'm tired of every game either looking like that or trying to emulate Breath of the Wild since it came out. Like, anything. I'm also really annoyed that a lot of indie developers and smaller developers use cel shading because it's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. But I really hate that every time I see like an article or a trailer for anything that is cel shaded, it's like Breath of the Wild. And I'm like, it's not like Breath of the Wild.
No.
This is a totally different one. Like that game that I can't think of what it was called, but the one that I showed you, that it was it's an MMO, but it's kind of a sandbox game.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild type game. No.
Yeah, and I like saw the trailer and the little thumbnail of like the style, and it was like, I think it was described as like a cross between Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, this looks cool, but it doesn't look anything like either of those games.
Yeah.
Like, it's cel shaded and bright colors and pretty, and it's a sandbox game.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have anything to, like, there's no...
nothing to do with that.
Like, from what I can tell, there's not a lot of, like, magical fantasy adventure. And there's not, like... I mean, I guess you could kind of compare sandbox games to Animal Crossing, but it's not quite the same. Like, it's not... There's, like, a level of sandboxing in Animal Crossing, especially in New Horizons, because you could do your terraforming and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still, you're not like... It's not, I would, like, The Sims or, like, Minecraft. To me, those are, like... your most
sandbox.
Common, like, that's the big kind of sandbox concept to me. That's what I think of when I think of a sandbox game, not like Animal Crossing. Like, there's an aspect to it for sure, but
I get that we need to, like, describe a game, but, like, why would we have to compare it like that
Yeah.
every time?
Right? Like, find games that are actually similar. If you're gonna compare it to a game, then don't just pick whatever, like, best-selling game it, has a similar art style to. Like, that doesn't tell me anything about the game.
Yeah. Tell me about the gameplay. Like,
Yeah.
do your own thing.
Yeah. And if you want to compare it to a game, that's fine, but, like, find one that it's actually comparable to.
Yeah. Don't just say, oh, it's Breath of the Wild, because
Yeah.
it kind of looks like maybe a little bit.
Like, I understand that that's an easy way to sell media, is to compare it to something else. And that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But, like, you gotta pick something that it's actually similar to.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at the trailer, to me, it seemed more like... It made me think of Yonder.
Yeah.
And I haven't played it, but you have. It made me think of My Time in Portia a little bit.
Yeah, it did have, like, the bright colors, the stylized sort of appearance.
It sort of had that kind of vibe about it to me. And even those games are still pretty different in concept.
Yeah,
but, like, I feel like they're more
and,
similar. Yeah. Or even just calling it, like, comparing it more to, like, Stardew or something, like, would have made a lot more sense than...
Yeah.
But I hate that I see that. Like, I feel like almost every game that has that sort of art style is compared to Breath of the Wild, and it's very annoying for me.
Yeah. So,
like,
Breath
even
of the Wild isn't the first cell-shaded game,
right?
And it isn't the, maybe it is the biggest cell-shaded game.
Like, I'm sure the most well-known, but it's not the only one, and it's not the first one. It's not even the first cell-shaded Zelda game.
Yeah, it's a style. It's not a mechanic, you know?
Like, I even remember fucking Rhyme was compared to Breath of the Wild. And those games are not similar at all.
No.
Like, yeah, they look a little similar, but absolutely not. The story is not similar at all. There's, the gameplay is not similar at all. There's not even combat in that game. Like,
no.
That game was weird.
It was weird.
It was fun. It was glitchy as fuck because we played it on the Switch, but... Well, I don't know, because we played it on the Switch. I feel like it may have run better on a different console, but...
It was good, but I think it was mostly because, like, we were doing it together.
Yeah, like, I enjoyed it. The end was weird and confusing. That's what threw me off.
The end was weird, confusing, and sad for no reason. And I was just like, I'm kind of taken out of it. You know what we should talk about? We should talk about Eli.
Eli? Oh! I was like, who's Eli? We watched this fucking... We've both been just in, like, a spooky horror mood lately. Yeah. So, been looking for some spooky movies. And we found one on Netflix called Eli.
And it looked really good.
Yeah,
like,
the trailer for it was, like...
Spooky,
opens up into this, like,
horror.
Yeah, like, this kid has this weird,
medical condition.
Yeah, where he's basically allergic to the air. So he's, like, living like a fucking bubble boy.
Yeah.
And so his parents take him to this facility where this lady, claims to be able to make him better, is what she keeps saying. They keep asking if he can be cured, and she says, "We'll make you better," which is, fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, the first half of it, right?
It was like
pretty
so
spooky.
Spoilers,
yeah.
Of course.
We're just gonna go through the whole thing.
Yeah. If you want to watch this movie, I suggest watching it first and then coming to our review.
Yeah.
But it's on Netflix. If you are in a horror mood, like, watch it. It's weird.
Yeah. The first half of it. Like,
It
we
really
literally,
had me.
Finished the movie and just kind of looked at each other and we're like, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie. Because the first half is, like,
good.
Yeah, it's pretty spooky. Like, the effects that they have with the ghosts, the whole, like, the first half of the movie is that they're in this place. It's like
secretive facility that's like airtight.
And the kid starts like seeing ghosts.
He starts seeing
And they're like
things.
interacting with him and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
real spooky. And the way that they like have the ghosts show up and interact, it's really cool. Because they all kind of show up in like different
areas,
weird ways.
Yeah,
Like there's one that he can only see like
In a
in
mirror.
mirrors. There's one that he can only see. He's like wandering around in the dark with a flashlight, but he can
Yeah.
only see her. The light is not on her.
Yeah.
There was one that was like behind. You could see the shadows, or like
Yeah.
behind like a screen.
Or like.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
And the one in
Some
particular
sort of veil.
that got me was the flashlight one, because you like didn't notice her at first, because
Yeah.
he's looking at all of this stuff that's like covered
That
in
one?
sheets, and he's
was
like,
it the veil one though? No, it was the flashlight one.
Yeah.
Because he's like looking into this room because it's all like blocked off
yeah,
for like sanitary purposes, and it's all just got sheets over all of the furniture.
yeah.
And so he's just
And he's like
scanning
looking
it.
through, and then he's like looking at this room, and like off your periphery, you see the girl show up and move,
Mhm.
but you don't realize because she just looks like one of the pieces of furniture until she
She's-
moves, and you're like, holy shit! And then
She's
he like,
bent fucking backwards.
yeah, like a contortionist,
yeah.
and she like
And
comes up.
she's got like this gown on, so she just looks like one of the pieces of furniture. And then you see it off in the periphery, and you're like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, and then he like turns the light on her, so she disappears.
Yeah, and that was a really
That one
good
got us.
spook.
We were like, oh, okay, now we're getting into some shit.
Yeah, like it was really good. Like I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And then when he's like running down the corridor, and then he like puts the flashlight back, and then she's like further back, and then he like looks back again, and she's
Yeah.
like really close.
Yeah.
That fucking
That one was good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like it turns
he's, like,
out
getting
that
haunted.
yeah. And of course none of the adults believe him, and
Mhm.
he's like, you know, they're breaking shit and like trying to basically contact him because these
Yeah.
are other kids who have come into this house and been killed by this lady.
So they're like trying to warn him,
Yeah.
and at one point they like grab him.
They try to like grab
like-
him and drag him out of the house, and
Yeah.
then he like almost dies or whatever because of his condition. So
Yeah.
he gets back in, but they're like trying to get him out.
Yeah, they're trying, and so he realizes they're trying to warn him.
Yeah.
And he goes into like
Well, because they started
investigate.
like leaving the messages,
Yeah.
like telling him that. Well, they keep leaving the word "lie" everywhere,
Yeah.
and then he figures out that it's also a code number. Like you
Yeah.
can flip it upside down, but
Which also worked really well because it was his name. He was like telling one of the ghosts one of his name,
yeah,
and one of the ghosts like reverses the letters, and it's like it's all a lie.
yeah.
Don't believe them.
Yeah. So then he starts to like kind of investigate shit. And then that's when it starts to go downhill.
Yeah, he like stops taking he doesn't take one of the meds that
They were
They
like
tried
trying
to
to
give
knock
him.
him out.
yeah.
Because it was like the whole deal
third
was
procedure.
there were like 3 procedures that he was going through. And the second one would like fuck me up. I didn't like watching that one.
Yeah, that one was rough. I couldn't watch it
Yeah.
because even just hearing it, they were like drilling into his skull. Which
Yeah.
like why?
Yeah.
Knowing the the like ending, I'm like, why? Even?
Right. Well, and so much of the first half of the movie just doesn't make sense
Yeah.
when you find
The end
when you
of
get
it.
to the end. But so he
And
starts
there's-
like investigating this lady, and he
There's
figures
this
out.
girl who is like outside.
Yeah, she keeps like showing up. She'll throw rocks at his window, and there's like a little
Yeah.
sunroom
And so
or
we
whatever.
were like, oh yeah, she's totally dead. Like
Yeah.
she's just like trying to form his like escape plan.
Yeah,
So she's trying to make sure he knows what he's doing so he can escape because
Yeah.
she keeps asking him questions.
yeah. She's like asking him provocative questions
Yeah.
so that he's like figuring things out.
Yeah. And she's like kind of weird.
Yeah,
So we're like, oh yeah. So what do you think? Is she like dead or did she escape? You know?
Yeah. Well, and for a while we thought that they were like doing experiments on these kids to make them like super mutants or something.
Yeah.
And then it was like all of them died during phase 3.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, is she like, did she make it through? Is she one of like the super mutants or whatever?
Yeah.
Did she escape at some point?
Because at one point she was like, yeah, I know the lady who lives here, she doesn't like me.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
supposed
like,
to be around here.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm not supposed to be here. And I'm like, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Yeah, and
so
he starts like investigating and finds out that this is basically some like weird cultist religious shit.
Yeah.
And then it just starts going to get real fucking weird.
It devolves so fast.
Yeah,
because,
it goes from being ghosts to like,
and it goes from being like ghosts and like medical horror and something like believable to going, it's Christians.
Yeah. Like, he gets locked in this fucking dungeon for a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, the parents don't even question that. They, like, lock him in a dungeon, and they're not like, why do you have a dungeon in your house?
The lady was like, well, we have to leave him in the dungeon now because he knows.
Yeah.
He knows fucking what?
Yeah,
what?
which he didn't know anything.
He was,
like,
really
starting to figure stuff out, but...
when he was investigating... And he went into, like, the ladies' quarters, and he saw, like, she was a nun.
Yeah.
They're all nuns.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, god damn it.
Right? Well, and then that was something else that I noticed, too. At the beginning, they were all wearing regular, like, nursing outfits. You know, they had the scrubs and the masks and everything. And then towards the end, when they got to the last phase... Their scrubs look like nun habits. Did you notice that?
I did notice
that. And I was like, what the fuck is this
happening?
costume? Like, what is this costume change? Why did you either not, like, do that the whole time or just not do it at all? Because, like, what is that?
I did notice that because I was like, did they always look like that? I didn't feel like they did.
Yeah. But anyway, so ultimately it turns out that this kid is fucking the spawn of Satan because his mom was just hoeing around with the devil.
And the dad was like jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous of the devil because he got some.
Right. He imploded the dad's face too. Which didn't make any sense. Like, this is your dad your whole life, and then you just find out that your mom was a hoe, and you're like, well, this man doesn't matter to me anymore. Right? Let me just implode his face, which is it was a weird scene.
He was trying to stab him, but it was just like, the visual effect was really weird.
Yeah.
And kind of gimmicky.
Yeah.
You know? And it just, like, devolves into such, like, crazy town that I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, it went from
good,
being, like...
And then it's just like, no, now it's, like, a 4.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give it a 4 because the first half was really good.
It's like it just turned into a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Get a beep.
He's just, like... throwing his tendon around. But
anyway,
just, like,
the one that fucking got me was when he, like, started having psychic mind powers and lifted up all of the nuns, and they just were, like, floating around. And, like, it was such, like, a cartoony looking
It really was.
It was so funny
effect.
Because they just
picked
were,
up
like...
all the nurses, and they're, like, rigid, straight, and he's just, like, floated them, and they're, like,
just
spinning.
Like, whirl around like a fucking cartoon, like, magical circus.
Yeah.
It was so fucking
he,
funny. Like, the serious scene or whatever is happening.
Sets them on fire, and
it's
just, like...
But it's like this
is
conversation is happening where he's, like, screaming at the mom, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
Because she's trying to get him to calm down or whatever, and he's like, explain what the fuck is going on, but then it's just these nuns, like, floating around in the background, so we're just, like, crying laughing.
Yeah. I'm just disappointed, because it had such a good premise. If it would have ended differently, it would have been a really good story.
Yeah. But then it just went fucking batshit.
Stuff. You lost me at the fucking... Antichrist.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the next day I was just like thinking about it, and I was like, this really reads just like a supernatural plot.
Right?
It's just, it was bad. It was not.
I feel like the movie was like, it could be used as a metaphor for all of the Supernatural franchise.
Yeah.
Like, it started out pretty solid. Yeah. Like, it was still kind of dumb, but it was like, yeah, I'm having a good time, and then it just got really bad.
Yeah. It was just not even good.
But yeah, it was a wild ride.
Yeah, that one just, it was, I was so disappointed because it started out so good. Like,
Yeah.
I was into it. I was like, ooh, what's gonna happen? And then they completely lost me.
Yeah. Like, we had a couple of good spooks, and it wasn't even like, it didn't feel so much like a jump scare. It was like, ooh, that was like unsettling.
Yeah, like,
you know?
it was,
like,
I feel like it didn't really rely on a whole lot of jump scares.
Yeah, like there were a couple. And jump scares are fine as long as it's not the whole movie, you know?
Right. Exactly. If they don't really rely on it for all of your scares.
Yeah.
But it's just so disappointing.
Yeah. It's
like
kind
of mad.
Like, right?
Like, why do you have to ruin it by just like going into this? Because now it's just this is
it like turned into a
of
comedy.
Everything being wizards at the end. Like it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's like the Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, that movie's so fucking dumb. Well, or like you mentioned, it being like Little Evil.
Yeah.
And that's like which is a great movie if you guys haven't seen it. It's really good. It's very fun.
But it's like a comedy horror.
Yeah, it's a comedy horror. But it's like this movie started out being horror and then it just tried to be a different movie. Like, I swear to God, you cut it in half and it's just
a different movie.
If you started at that like halfway point where he gets, well, not even halfway, but like when he like, I feel like if you started when he's running away from them after they catch him snooping around, then you would have no idea. Like, there's no connection to the beginning.
Right.
Like, you would,
and then
if it was like you know, this is just a thing that I feel like many people have seen bits and pieces of movies, and over time you've seen the whole movie, just never in one sitting.
Yeah. This would be just completely different.
I would never be able to identify that those are the same movie.
Yeah. I'd just be like, wow, all these actors are in here.
Yeah.
Weird. Also, the girl who was outside was the devil's daughter.
Was also a devil spawn who had escaped or whatever.
She wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Oh, and the reason that the other kids died was because they weren't strong enough and she wasn't supposed to help them.
Yeah, they were just like little fucking bitches, apparently. Right, and then the end of the movie.
So many plot holes.
Yeah, it just is one big plot hole. Like, well, then the end of the movie it's like the kid decides that he's gonna keep the mom.
Yeah.
He has there's like this scene where you're like, is he gonna kill her? Or like, what's going on?
Okay.
And they just like burn down the whole house.
Yeah.
And then walk out and just meet the other girl outside, which also, we had pointed out that they had like torched the car before this happened, but then it just was fine. So, like, the kid and the mom walk out, and then that girl, the other girl from outside, was just, like, chilling, waiting, and she was like, good job, buddy. Want to go meet our dad or whatever?
Right.
And so they just fucking all get in the car, and they're just like, okay, mom, drive us to wherever the fuck. And then that was it.
Like, there's just no explanation for her to be there.
Yeah.
There's just, like, no explanation why he broke out in hives before.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing. If he, like, breathed air at all, he would, like, break out into hives and he, like, couldn't breathe and shit. Yeah. So it was like, what? And there was, like, when they figured out that he wasn't really, or when he figured out that he wasn't really sick, he's like, why did you lie to me? Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, how the fuck did they fake this illness?
Right?
Like, because that's one of the scenes in the beginning is he's got his, like, bubble boy suit.
Yeah.
And he, like, fell down and ripped a hole in it. And he started, like, having...
hyperventilating. Yeah. And, like, his skin would just, like, burn.
Yeah, and, like, blister.
I'm like...
So, like, how the fuck...
If it was all psychological, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Where the fuck did this come from?
And they're like, what were the injections? It was holy water.
Right.
Oh, freaking what? So, like, okay, what were the two other medical procedures for? The third one was, like, an exorcism.
Yeah.
How are you gonna exercise half of who he is?
Right?
Like, what? And also, like, what the fuck was the drilling into the skull for?
Right?
What the fuck was the, like, hip thing for? What is that?
It's fucking weird. And then the dad was like in on it because he was mad about his wife banging the devil.
Right? I'm like, y'all couldn't go to, like, a sperm bank?
Right? Because that was the thing that she was like, when she was explaining this to the kid, she was like, I wanted you so bad. I was praying and God didn't answer, but he did. And it's like, all right, so your husband was sterile, so you like fucked the devil instead of like going to a sperm donor.
Right? I'm like, she could have been infertile, but I'm like, that's a stretch. I'm just like, this movie was so disappointing.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
It's like they made the first half of the movie and then
they like switched directors.
Yeah, like a different director came in and was like, "Now this sucks. Let's make it stupid."
Yeah, let's make it about Christianity and like God, and because you can't be scary without it. You can't be scary without demons.
That's where Supernatural went downhill for me.
I'm just like, you could have been good, but you
like
sucked.
If they would have just gone with like they're experimenting on kids to make whatever,
right? That would have been more believable for me.
Like I could have stayed invested there.
Yeah.
And it would have that's way more scary to me.
Right.
Like being taken in against your will and experimented on.
Yeah.
And like
your parents are behind it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I'm in it for the money or whatever. They just keep making
or like I want a
kids
super like powered like ultra genetic baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
that would have got me. And her just like killing the subjects before.
Yeah.
That would have got me.
Yeah, like the experiments just like killing all of the kids, but like this kid survives or whatever and escapes, like would have been great.
Right.
But no. Had to make it about Jesus.
I was really hoping that like she or like I wasn't hoping, but I was really thinking that she, the redhead girl that was outside, I was thinking that she was like the strongest.
Yeah.
And she almost made it out, which is why she was more corporeal.
Right? Because she, like, we were trying to figure out for so long that the other kids could only be seen in certain ways, but she was just, like, showing up and, like, touching things and being, like, really solid.
And I'm like, that's why they, like, each of the ghosts had, like, an affinity, like, towards glass, or, like, one was messing with the electrical shit all the time, and then she had, like, the firepower.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn. It was really, like, thought-provoking in the first half.
Yeah.
And then you lost me.
Yeah. And it just got so bad.
It really got bad fast.
Yeah.
Because, like, as
it
soon
just
as
took
you
a
find
turn.
out, it's just like, well,
yeah.
Now he's floating people and, setting them on fire.
Yeah.
And imploding faces.
Yeah. Which just, like, that's not scary. Gimmicky. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
The one benefit, though, was that when I went to bed, I wasn't spooked.
Yeah. I was just like, that was stupid. I was, like, mad, though.
Right?
I was like, that was stupid. I would have liked it better.
Right?
This. Because, like, okay, the first half got me with, like, spooks. Like, the medical horror, the fucking, psychological horror. Like, nobody believes me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all alone in this. And then, like, the actual horror parts where the ghosts are trying to tell him what's happening, like, fucking spooky.
Yeah.
But
and they done ruined it.
They They really ruined it. Upsetting.
So there's your rant for the day.
Yeah.
Go watch Eli. It's really fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's really
Just watch the first half of it and then make up your own ending.
Yeah.
Just like stop watching when he like gets into the file cabinet.
Yeah.
And then just let your imagination do the work for you.
No, watch till like right after the file cabinet. Watch till right after he sees like what happened to the other kids,
Yeah.
and then make up your own ending.
Yeah.
Because that's really when it goes downhill.
Yeah. Because that's when they catch him and throw him in the dungeon or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he ends up in the dungeon anyway.
Well, like, when he picks up the photos of the nuns, like, just, there it goes. It's just gone. And all the bugs kept getting in. Like, what was that about?
So the whole thing was, like, the house was supposed to be this, like clean
airtight,
space. And, like, there was...
space.
Yeah, there was only one entrance. And, like, you'd go in through the entrance and it would, like...
sanitize you.
Yeah, clean you, cleanse the air, whatever. And then... So the inside, there was, like, only the one way to get in there. But then there were, like, the bugs that... They kept showing the bugs.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what the point of the bugs were. Because there was even, like, shots of them in the beginning when they showed up at the house. They were outside. And then they kept, like, hitting the windows when he was, like, looking out at night and stuff. And then one of them got in. And it was like, what
is your purpose?
Yeah, why are the bugs here? And how the fuck, like, why did it get into the house if there was, like, no way? I don't know.
Yeah.
There just were so many, like, what the fuck moments.
Yeah. Just, like...
I mean...
I'm just, like, disappointed. You could have had a scary movie, and then you did it wrong.
Yeah.
You fucked
Although,
up.
I will say, this is the one I was talking to you guys about the other night. Things Heard and Seen, which is also on Netflix. I watched that one the other night, and that one was really good.
Yeah.
That was one, because I was looking for something that would be fun. You know, horror movies, a lot of times, are not really fun to watch by yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, poke fun at it, or, like, make theories with your friends. You're just, like, alone and spooked.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's, like, sort of a certain vibe about some that you can
do alone.
That are more fun alone. Or not more fun, but are, like, still
tolerable.
And I found that one, and I really enjoyed it. I'm dumb, so the metaphor at the end was kind of lost on me. I know that there's a metaphor, but I'm not quite sure what its intent was.
Yeah.
Like, I can kind of draw the dots, but I don't know what it was. The conclusion that it was leading me to, I'm a little unclear on. But that's probably just me, because I'm dumb, and that's how I am with a lot of things, to be honest. But generally, overall, I enjoyed it. It kind of starts out like a typical horror movie with, like, white family moving into, like, ancient Victorian house in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. But, like, as it progresses... I actually liked the main character, which is really unusual for horror movies. I usually just don't like any of the characters. Yeah. Or if I do, they're the one that dies within the first 5 minutes.
Right.
I actually liked a lot of the characters. I just really hated the husband, which is kind of the intent, I think.
Right.
You're kind of supposed to. Like, there's, like, just growing distaste for him throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But all of, like, the side characters, there were a lot of people that I was definitely, like, rooting for and being like, oh, shit! This bitch? Oh, yeah, dude. But I really enjoyed it. Would recommend. I'm not going to go into it much further in case anybody actually wants to watch that one.
That's fair.
I keep thinking about... Because I think we kind of talked about this a little bit in one of our other last couple episodes. that like you've mentioned, you always kind of get in just like in the mood
Yeah.
to watch horror movies in the summertime. And I keep thinking about it because we've been seeing that a lot at work too. And that's like pretty common, and I never really think about it, I guess. But like we're selling a lot of horror books and stuff right now. And you know, we set up tables and whatever, and everybody keeps being like, I don't know why it's selling so well right now. Like, well, hell yeah, let's take advantage of it. But like, why does everybody want horror? So I just keep thinking about it. And I'm like, I feel like that's just the thing. Like everybody, like when you're younger, summer is when you're allowed to stay up later. Like you get to have lots of sleepovers with your friends, or like you stay up late with your siblings or whatever. And what do you do at sleepovers? You watch horror movies.
Yeah.
So you just like I feel like everybody kind of has
taste
this
horror.
like we've almost like Pavloved ourselves into this like nostalgia for horror movies in the summertime, where it's
Yeah.
like summertime, yeah, like I want a little taste of that like slumber party, like late night horror shit.
I always feel like it's kind of connected to a lot of like slasher movies because they're always like in the summer, you're at summer camp.
Yeah.
You know, I think of Jeepers Creepers where they're like in the country in summer. It's just like it goes together, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and also even just like that's another thing that's just really common. Like you go camping and you tell like spooky stories around the fire and shit like that. Like,
hell yeah.
I don't know why we never think about it like that, where it's like, obviously Halloween is horror season, spooky season.
Right.
But like, I don't know why.
Why summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
I think it's
like,
fun.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's part of the vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello again.
Also, the other day I was thinking about, I made this joke to one of my coworkers because we started getting Halloween kids books in already, which is stupid. Because who's going to buy like specifically Halloween stuff right now?
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it, and I made the joke to her because she's like, "What? It's June? Why are we getting this stuff in June?" And I was like, "Well, if it's Christmas in July, it must be Halloween in June." But why isn't that a thing? I think that should be a thing.
Yeah.
I think we should have summer Halloween. If we have to suffer through summer Christmas, I want summer Halloween.
I just want, like...
Also on TikTok earlier, I saw some people saying the hashtag was something about, like, summer Halloween, whatever, but they were carving melons.
Yeah,
and
I saw.
I think we should do that.
They were, like, carving melons in a cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one, too.
Because then we
we're
can...
just on the same sides of TikTok.
Yeah. What you doing, Logan?
He's like trying to get on the couch, but he's backwards. Now he's spooning a pillow.
Every time he does that, I just think about that time you looked at him laying on your bed and you were like, he looks like he's holding a man.
You need to hold a man. He just looks like he's spooning.
You goofy. I love how Beetle just got all of the fucking treats.
Right?
You're such a bully.
Actually, Logan got 2. He had his tendon, and then he ate the traits. But that's because you stole them. And Bella got none.
That's her own fault. She abandoned the one that she got. She didn't even try to barter. Like, Beetle will barter.
Yeah.
He does.
He'll, trade. He'll bring you something and then expect you to trade with him.
Yeah.
Especially
he does it to Logan all the time. I think it's so funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that he will bring Logan a lesser treat and
Logan
get
will
a
be
better
like,
one.
Fine.
Yeah. Like,
And
he'll
get
bring
Logan's
him...
big treat.
Yeah, he'll bring him, like, a tiny piece of whatever he hasn't finished.
Yeah.
and then trade for
Logan
like the
for-
big bone or something and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is fair.
Goofy.
Logan Gramook. Just like dissociating out the window. Well, this seems like a good place to end it.
Yeah. It's
Time to end it all!
Thank God.
Oh god. Just crash into everything.